What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simply a Breeze. My name is Bree if you are new here. Hi and hello. Today is Thursday and I am filming this before I have to go to work. So hopefully the lighting's not terrible and we'll see what we can get accomplished. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about meal planning without putting in too much effort into your meal plan. Sometimes I have time to go ahead and prep food for an entire day. I will take either all of Saturday or all of Thursday, or if I have a holiday off, I will take one of those days and I will go ahead and get a bunch of things prepped and planned. However, that's generally not the case for me. I don't usually have that kind of time. My fiance and I are constantly going places and doing a bunch of things. So what I like to do instead is just go downstairs with a grocery bag, go rummage through my freezer and pull out some key proteins that we can use in meals throughout the week. That way I'm not stressing over what to cook. That way all I need to do is figure out if I want to cook pasta, if I want to cook rice, if I want to cook like a potato for starch, and then I just need to choose a vegetable. And I have found that that actually makes my life much simpler. I can come home, I can just grab a protein out of the fridge, get it cooking, and throw sides together, and it takes far less time than having to scramble the night before trying to figure out what I want to cook for the next day. This makes my life so much easier and so much simpler. So if this sounds like you, who doesn't have the time to prep meals all in one day for the entire week, this video might be for you. So stick around and let's get started. So I want to show you this right here. This is my menu board that I sometimes use. Sometimes I completely forget about it, or I'll fill it out and not even reference it once throughout the week. So it's nice to have for things like this where I pull out the proteins and then I can plan a whole menu around all of the protein that I pulled out. So this is beneficial if you remember it's there. I don't always remember that it exists. So this is also a helpful tool. It's quite beneficial in my opinion. So let me know if you use one of these and what you think. So now let's go ahead and go down to the basement and I will show you what we plan on pulling out for the next several days of meals. We are gonna grab, I call it shopping my basement because my basement is where I store excess food, and that's where our freezers are. So I'm just gonna bring some shopping bags, I'm gonna grab the phone, and then we're gonna go downstairs and I am going to grab a bunch of things. Okay. All right, so this is my freezer. What I like to do, so this is where I store most of our meat varieties, to include chicken, fish, and then whole cuts of meat, like steaks and pork and our goose and our duck, and then freezer meals when I make them. So I have a freezer meal of stuffed bell peppers in here, and I'm not gonna use those, but we recently had fish, we just had chicken, and we could do pork. There's an elk heart, I may want to do that. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple different varieties of meat, and I'm going to throw them in my grocery bag. And so I'm going to pull out some honey mustard pork chops. So I like to freeze marinated meats. And so that way as it thaws, I have a pre-marinated meat and I didn't have to do anything extra to do it. I think I'm gonna pull out, I need to pull out some goose breakfast sausage because I'm gonna make burritos. We're gonna go ice fishing this weekend and the following weekend. And goose breakfast sausage is beautiful in breakfast burritos. So I need to pull that guy out. We just had chicken breast. I think, we just had steak, but I think I want to, I want to have fajitas this coming week. It's So maybe if I do fajitas on Monday, so I'm gonna pull out some beef flat iron steaks so they can thaw in my fridge. And then that way I'm ready for them. And so now we have pork, we have a beef, and I'll pull out some more chicken. Let's see, wings. Ooh. I'm also gonna pull out some garlic sweet chili chicken. That's also a marinade. And I think I'm gonna make a stir fry up out of this. And then, so we're done in this freezer, I think for now. But what I'm also gonna do is we have a chest freezer around the corner, and that contains all of our ground beef and roasts. That's how I have everything organized, so I know where to find it. And that ground meat includes ground antelope, ground elk, and regular ground beef on top of the roast that came from the antelope, the elk, and the beef as well. And maybe we'll have a roast. Maybe I'll pull out a roast and let that also thaw. I don't know. I'll think about it, but I do need ground meat because then I can make either spaghetti, tater tot hot dish, lasagna. Ground meat is always good to have thawed because you can kind of just do whatever you want with it. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this over here. In this chest freezer, I have a bunch of ground beef. And I've got, oh, I have some stew meat in here too. Ooh, you know what? Oops. Okay, so that's stew meat, and that's stew meat. So I'm just gonna pull out all of this stew meat because I only have 3 packages left, I believe. And I am going to make stew then one of these weeks. Or one of these days. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I think that's all. Yeah. And that bag contains bones. I think it's antelope bones, so I can make a stock out of it. I just haven't had time to process it, so that's why there's a big black trash bag in my freezer. But that's it. That's all I do. And so now I have my grocery bag full of a variety of cuts of meat, different types of meat. That way we can use it all throughout the week. I don't have to think about, oh my goodness, what am I going to cook? I just need to figure out how I want to prepare it, because everything can be prepared in a variety of different ways, but it really doesn't take a whole lot of time. If you pull your meats out ahead of time, half your job is already done, because half the time it's figuring out what protein you want to eat for the main dish. If you've already got it pulled out, you really just need to figure out if you want pasta, potatoes, rice, and a vegetable. That's generally what we do anyways. I always try to do a protein, a vegetable, and some sort of starch, depending on how we're feeling. Maybe I'll go with a potato because potato is a root vegetable, but it is also a starch. And so then we're doing more of like the vegetable type of deal, but it really just depends on how you want to cook, what your dietary needs are. This is just what we do for us, and it works for us. We try to always have a protein with dinner primarily, but I am also trying to up my protein to see if it helps me feel a little better, a little more energized, and balance some things out. So that's all I do. And then I'm gonna stick this upstairs, put it in a bowl in the fridge, let it all thaw, and then that way whenever we're ready to eat, I just whip it on up. So let's go. I'm gonna do is I have little containers. I'm just gonna set the meats into the containers. That way if there's a hole in the bag as it thaws, it's not gonna leak juices all over my fridge. So just something to keep in mind. The freezer plastic bags, once things are frozen, if you nick it or you hit the frozen item hard enough, it's gonna bust a hole in the bag, but you're not gonna discover it until the meat starts to thaw and juices start going all over the place. that's our stew meat. That'll be good. I just need something to contain the mess. That should also be okay. That'll be fine. Okay, and then I just need something for the pork chops and something for the breakfast sausage. All of this in the fridge. Like that. Okay, now that I have all of these in here, they just need to thaw. I may go ahead and put one of these items in the sink in some not warm water, but like cool water, just to help it defrost quicker, so we have a meal for tonight. But I'm not too sure what I want to make for that dinner tonight. I'm thinking I may want to do the stir fry. Stir fry sounds really good. I just need to go get some vegetables, but that's an easy fix. Or maybe we'll do the pork chops. I'm thinking pork chops tonight, but then I've got chicken for stir fry, I've got flat iron steaks for fajitas, and I have stew meat for stew later on at some point this week. So I was able to pull out 5 different proteins for us to use throughout the week, and it really didn't take a whole lot other than me rummaging through my freezer and just pulling things out at random, which is going to set me up much better later in this week. So let me close my fridge. But hopefully you found that helpful. It's really not a hard trick. It's really not something that takes a lot of effort, but hopefully it benefits you if you're not somebody who likes to take a whole Saturday or a whole Sunday to meal prep or meal plan. This is kind of what I do alternatively. Instead of planning out a whole menu for an entire week, I just pull out the proteins. It makes my life simpler. I've got a lot going on. This isn't my only job. I also have a full-time job that I actually need to go get to because it starts here in about 15-20 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you found this beneficial or helpful, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think or what you do. And if you like this kind of content and any of the other content that I've put out, please consider subscribing, because there's going to be more tips and tricks for how to do things in life coming soon and coming out along the way. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, and I'll see you guys next time.